The forest had held its breath for years, waiting for their return. Hansel and Gretel, no longer the trembling children who had once stumbled through its shadows, moved with a purpose that was as sharp and cold as the winter air. The path, once lost to them, was now seared into their memory, a scar that led them back to the source of their nightmares. There it stood, a grotesque monument to a memory they could never escape. The gingerbread house. The candy cane pillars were now dull and grimy. The frosting eaves streaked with filth, and the gumdrop windows stared out like cataracted eyes. The sickly sweet smell still clung to the air, a cloying perfume of deceit and rot that churned their stomachs. Gretel's hand tightened on the handle of the woodsman's axe she carried, its weight a comforting promise. Hansel's eyes, chips of ice, scanned the clearing, missing nothing. They had not come for sweets. They had come to settle a debt. With a shared, unspoken signal, they kicked the marzipan door off its brittle hinges. It shattered inwards, dusting the floor with sugary splinters. The witch, hunched over a bubbling cauldron, spun around with a startled shriek. The face that had once been a mask of grandmotherly kindness was now slack with shock, her cruel eyes wide with a dawning terror she had once so expertly inflicted on others. She saw not the lost, plump children she remembered, but two figures forged in the fires of her own cruelty. Gretel stood silhouetted against the doorway, the axe resting on her shoulder, a silent executioner. Hansel stalked into the room, his movements fluid and predatory, a wolf returning to the fold. The witch scrambled backwards, her gnarled hands scrabbling at the floor as she tried to put distance between them, her voice a pathetic, wheezing plea. But there was no mercy in the room, only the cold, hard glint of retribution in their eyes. The confrontation was brutal and swift. Hansel grabbed the witch by her spindly arms, his grip like iron. Her struggles were feeble, the desperate flapping of a snared bird. She babbled of treasures, of jewels and gold, the same lie she had used to lure them in as children. The words were meaningless now, just the panicked buzzing of an insect before the final, crushing blow. Gretel moved to the oven, its iron door bearing a familiar, sinister grin of metalwork. She threw it open, and a wave of suffocating heat rolled into the room, carrying the ghost smell of cooked things. The embers within glowed with a hungry, orange light, waiting to be fed. Together, the siblings dragged the screaming, writhing witch across the floor. Her brittle bones scraped against the flagstones as they forced her, inch by agonizing inch, toward the gaping, fiery maw. With a final, unified heave, they shoved her into the furnace. Her shriek was cut short as Gretel slammed the heavy iron door shut and dropped the latch, sealing the tomb. A sickening, sizzling sound filled the sudden silence, accompanied by a furious muffled pounding from within that quickly weakened and then stopped altogether. A thick, greasy smoke began to curl from the chimney, carrying a foul stench that finally overpowered the cloying sweetness of the house. Hansel and Gretel stood side by side, their chests heaving, their faces illuminated by the hellish glow of the oven's grate. No words were exchanged. There was no joy in their victory, only a grim, hollow satisfaction. The nightmares might finally cease, as the smoldering remains of their tormentor turned to ash. A long overdue quiet settled over the forest, and two shadows detached themselves from the house, melting back into the trees from which they came, finally free.